What's up, kings and queens? It's Dan, the young man, and I'm here to take you through my best bets for this Utah Jazz versus Dallas Mavericks game. We're also going to deep dive to see what else that we can find. And now let me pause for a second because we need to talk about it. The bid is gone. In the last video, I told you guys I was so confident we're going to win at least 3 out of 5 picks that I put my bid on the line. And if we didn't, I was going to shave that shit off. Safe to say, didn't hit more than 3 out of 5 bets. Let's talk about it. The 5 bets I put up yesterday, what did we have? The first one was Alperen Şengün. I loved his over and his rebounds prop. Me being a greedy bastard, I put 15 points on there as well. Get it at plus money. And what did he do? 13 points, 11 rebounds. Greed got the best of me, so that's one we lost. The next one, Stephon Castle, took him over 12.5 points. I expected a lot of points in the Wizards versus Spurs game, and I thought Castle was going to get some easy points in transition, get to the rack in the half court. Wembanyama decided to shoot the ball, 30 times, score 50-something points. It was going to be almost impossible for anyone in that Spurs team to cover their line with that type of usage from Wemby, so we got cooked there. My next play, James Harden, over 21.5 points, 3+ rebounds, and I don't normally say that this is rigged, but somebody's got to ask the question here. James Harden had 19 points at the end of the third quarter, did not play the fourth quarter. Doesn't matter how close that game got between him and the Houston Rockets. Didn't get a chance, didn't get a sniff. He only needed 3 points in that fourth, and we would have been money. But, I don't blame players, and I don't say things are fixed, but somebody's got to ask the question, right? Like, there needs to be an investigation into this because I lost my goddamn beard because of this guy. But there was a loss. It was a loss. The next one, we had Anthony Davis over 27.5 points. I said the risk that he could be an absolute bitch coming into this game after missing some time with some injuries, and we got Anthony the bitch Davis today. Found foul trouble, got a lot of rebounds, but didn't take not even close to the number of shots that I was expecting from him. I feel like it was always a risk anyway. I'd like to put that down as a bad bet. I've got nothing to complain about. Bad bet on Anthony Davis. And then the last bet was our winning bet. Jaren Jackson Jr. over 23.5 points, 4+ rebounds, plus 105, cash money. It all happened the way I thought it would. That was a sweat-free bet. But look, at the end of the day, 1 win out of 5 bets, regardless of how ridiculous it sounds, and you've got to pay your punishment. So the bid is gone, and I look like an absolute idiot. I look like the most obvious undercover cop you're going to find. So let me know in the comment section, what do I look like? The funnier the response, the better, and let me have it. But we're here to talk about some basketball. Let's talk about this game. Let's preview it, and let's find some value, baby. Now, let's go. Having a quick look at the lineups for Dallas. PJ Washington's a game-time decision. Unlikely that he's going to play. Doncic, game-time decision, but it looks like he's going to suit up. And Walker Kessler is out for Utah, so they got a little bit small at the center spot with John Collins. The spread for this game is Dallas minus 9.5 points. Total is high, 232. So the book's expecting some points in this one, and hopefully we see some. Now, I want to share with you 2 of the bets that I already have, and then we'll do a bit of a deep dive and see what type of value we can find. Before we do so, got to plug Props Madness, right? The best tool possible, specifically made for NBA player props. Go check it out. 7-day free trial in the video description below, and you get 25% off. You use my code DAFT. You wouldn't believe it. The 2 bets that I picked, I'm pretty sure I submitted these pretty much in the last couple of minutes of the Lakers game today. Put the 2 bets down. I looked at the board and I was like, these are a little bit too low. Put the bets down. I shared it with VIP. Said, get on these. The lines are going to move. A couple of hours later, my notifications started popping off, and you wouldn't believe it. The 2 picks that I grabbed as soon as I saw them just happened to be the most popular plays on the day. So let's talk about it. When I say the most popular, it's all over the socials and everybody's talking about it. So the first one is Keyonte George, looking at the over in his rebounds and assists. Check it out. I got this at 7.5. You can still get it at 7.5, juice to the gills. It's now moving to 8.5 in most places, and you'll get that at plus money. And I still, honestly, I don't hate it. Now, Keyonte George, he's hit this line in 7 out of 9 games. He's averaging 9.2 rebounds and assists per game. And when the last matchup with Dallas at the end of October, he had 10 rebounds and assists. 13 rebound chances, 12 potential assists. So this play is purely based on hit rate and opportunity. If you look at the games where he didn't hit, Keyonte George played less than 30 minutes in those games. But on the season, he's averaging more than 30. If you were to look at the games where he plays at least 30 minutes, you can see here, he's almost got a 100% hit rate. 9.6 is an average, 7 out of the 8 games. Matchup is good here against Dallas. They play with a lot of pace. Well, both teams do, really. Both teams, I think they're about 11 and 12, so in the faster part of the league. But this Dallas team also allows a lot of assists, allows a lot of rebounds as well. And up against weaker opposition, this Dallas team can get a little bit loose with it. So no Walker Kessler here. I foresee there's probably a lot more rebounds which are going to be tipped around. So guards like your Keontae Georges can get a lot of these long boards. Utah also allow a lot of three-point attempts. So if there's going to be a lot of three-point attempts in this game, you'd expect to see a lot more long rebounds as well. The blowout is a risk here. We can't lie about that. The spread is 9.5 points. But Utah at home should be able to hang with Dallas for at least the last 5 to 6 minutes. I don't think Dallas blows them out nice and early. And I think Keontae George still plays more than 30 minutes and absolutely eats up some rebounds and assists. So that's a pretty straightforward one. Now that I think about it, they're both pretty straightforward, so I'm not surprised other people were able to spot this. The next play, Klay Thompson, over his points prop. Now, Klay Thompson, I got this at 15.5. You can still get it on 15.5 on most books, but starting to move to 16.5. And Klay Thompson, I bet on him pretty much in every game this season where he had a good matchup. And so where the matchup is right, Klay Thompson tends to go over this. The only game where he's gone over this that I didn't bet on was against the Golden State Warriors. The matchup was tough, and I refused to buy into the narrative, even though the narrative was true. He came out and absolutely cooked. But if we talk about it, Klay Thompson scores a lot of his points above the break, shooting a lot of three-pointers. His matchup in this game is great. This Utah Jazz team, you can see it here in this shot chart, not very good at defense, especially in the perimeter. They give up all that shit. Now, if you take a look at similar types of players, these are your catch-and-shoot guards. Buddy Hield, Klay Thompson himself, Quentin Grimes, Kevin Huerter, Grayson Allen. They all have killed it. They've scored 33% more than their season average at the time when they play the Utah Jazz. They go over their points prop. So Klay Thompson, absolutely love that at 15.5. This blue line on the graph, I've got a filter set at the moment for basically to show all the teams where he has a good matchup. And when he has a good matchup, these lines be going up. So you can see a lot of this red form, somewhat difficult matchup, teams who don't necessarily allow points above the break. Up against the Utah Jazz, they are bottom 3 in the league in giving up points above the break. He scored 18 points against them earlier this season. And in similar matchups against Phoenix and San Antonio, Klay Thompson got cooking. So there's no reason why I shouldn't take this again. The matchup is great. There's predicted to be a whole lot of points. Similar types of players have killed it. Klay Thompson himself has killed it against Utah in many games in a row. And at 15.5, I just thought it was too low, so I jumped on it straight away. So those are my 2 picks, but throughout this video, we're going to deep dive almost every single one of these motherfuckers and see if we can find something else to bet on, because there's only the one game here. So let's spend a little bit of time, see if we can find something better on the board. Now, I'm so confident that these plays are going to cash today that I'm willing to risk my eyebrows. I'm kidding. That's the edibles talking. Nothing will be shaved off me. I've got nothing up top now. I've got nothing on my face. I am not getting rid of my eyebrows for the sake of content. But I do ask that you guys like the video if you did, or if you do, comment down below what your best bet is on this game. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We're about 204 subscribers away from hitting 12,000, which is our very next milestone. Help your boy get there. Every comment that you guys make, every time you like the video, it helps this video go out to more people, and that helps me out a lot. So I appreciate everybody who does that each and every single time. But let's get into this deep dive. I've got a couple of good leans here. I could be convincing myself into betting on them. Let's do it. Now, instead of just banging through each player one by one and trying to break everything down like that, I'm pretty sure I might lose you. So we're just going to go through the plays with the best hit rates, and we'll see if we can find an edge in those. So the first one I want to talk through is Lauri Markkanen. And looking at his points plus his rebounds in this game, he's gone under this in pretty much every game outside of that initial game against the Memphis Grizzlies. 28.5 is his points plus rebounds, but you can also look at his PRA, tells the same story, right? Now, Lauri Markkanen, the matchup for him today, let's leave it on points and rebounds. They're the main things he does. Matchup today against Dallas. Lauri scores a lot of his points off screens. Dallas, not very good at defending those, but he also shoots above the break 3-pointers, and Dallas, top 10 in the league at limiting points above the break. So Lauri Markkanen, his matchup is not ideal. It is not easy, but he is Lauri Markkanen. He is probably their best offensive player in this team. But 28.5 points and rebounds. I don't know if we can get there. If we look at other teams that he's faced, the Phoenix Suns, also a similar type of matchup in terms of how they defend off screens. So he had a good matchup there, a decent matchup against the Spurs, a good matchup against Milwaukee. Still didn't get it done. And he's up against the Dallas Mavericks today, who are not as difficult, but he hasn't got it done in such a long time. It's like in order for Lauri to cash this line, he really needs a big scoring game and a big rebounding game, which he hasn't been able to do all season. Against Dallas earlier this season, 29th of October, he played 35 minutes, scored 17 points, and had 9 rebounds, finishing on 26. The line in this game, 28.5. Now, I don't see Lauri playing more than 35.5 minutes. So the under is something I would definitely be leaning towards here. If I think about matchups, who's going to be checking this man? Lauri Markkanen probably playing the 4, the 5. Probably sees a bit of Najee Marshall action on him, actually. And he does have some of the size advantage of Najee Marshall. But if you think about it, Lauri Markkanen's got the size advantage at almost everybody playing that position. Definitely had a size advantage in Phoenix. Definitely had one in the Spurs game with no Sohan in the mix. So hasn't necessarily taken advantage of it, as he is primarily an outside shooter. The under for his points and rebounds, I gotta tell you, it does make a bit of sense to me. So I don't mind that. Another one with a great hit rate. We're looking at Klay Thompson here, looking at his rebounds, and he's gone over them in 5 out of his last 6 games. So his rebounding form as of late has been pretty good. His line's at 3.5. He also had 4 rebounds against the Utah Jazz when they matched up earlier this season. Managed to do so in 7 rebound chances. Now, this is probably going to be a sweaty bet because Klay Thompson, not known as a big rebounder, but the hit rate is terrific, and he's done it against Utah in the past, right? So I don't know if I could find myself to get this, but the pace is going to be high. There's going to be a lot of 3-pointers, a lot of long rebounds. The Klay Thompson angle, it's honestly not too bad, but I personally would probably need more. I probably need more signs that point to yes in order to cash that one out. If we're talking about Dallas and their rebounders, you could look at Kyrie Irving and his rebounds. I bet on his rebounds prop against Golden State purely because of how great the hit rate had been. He went under. The line stays at 3.5. Chances are he bounces back here. He did have 6 rebounds when he played Utah earlier this season with 11 rebound chances. So Kyrie to get some boards, perhaps? Tell me what you guys think. Would you bet that? Because you're only betting on hit rate and opportunity, if anything. And I think if Dallas can cover the spread and keep the game close, then it's going to keep Kyrie on the court. He played 36 minutes where Dallas won by 8 points in the last game. Can definitely get some boards here. So, yeah, I don't mind that one either. But again, I need more reasons to. But if you like betting on hit rate, Kyrie, Klay Thompson rebounds, pretty nice looks. Now, one where I haven't even looked at or considered here is John Collins. And I specifically wanted to look at John Collins and what he does when Walker Kessler's not there. Because he only played the one game without Walker Kessler this season, had 29 points, 10 rebounds, right? So he was a beast against Phoenix. But let's dive a little bit deeper into last season to see what types of numbers we can get for him. So he played 11 games without Walker Kessler. He averaged 16.5 points per game. His line in this game is 17.5. If we look at his rebounds, he averaged 9.7 rebounds. His line in this one is at 10.5. No games against Dallas without Walker Kessler, though. But, yeah, if you're looking at his numbers, the lines are a little bit high based on what he averaged last season with Walker Kessler out of the lineup. So probably somewhat difficult matchup, but the line's probably just about right. I don't think we're going to find an edge here. Actually, I know a player that I want to look at. Plays for Utah, Cody Williams. So I've had a bit of success betting on Cody Williams unders, and it hasn't been his points. It's actually been his rebounds and assists. But now that's at 3.5. My goodness. Okay, when I was betting on this, you could get it at 5.5. But the last couple of games, it's really come down to 3.5. So they're getting sharp, the books. So I wouldn't encourage anybody to bet on Cody Williams under 3.5 rebounds and assists. I think that's just getting a little bit crazy. Now, one of my favorite players to bet on is Daniel Gafford. And his points and his rebounds prop has been the wave. Check that out. His last 4 games, 20-plus rebounds and points in 4 straight. His line in this game is at 18.5. Now, in that very last game against the Golden State Warriors. 15 points, 6 rebounds, 7 from 8 from the field. That's a whole lot of dunks. Up against Utah, who is pretty much soft everywhere. Without Walker Kessler, they're not a great team defending the pick and roll. You can see that. Gafford scores in transition. They're not good at that. Gafford scores with putbacks, and they're not good at that at all. Now, I would have bet on his rebounds prop because he's always very close to that. Not a massive rebounder, especially on the defensive end, given the way he contests a lot of shots. He did have 7 rebounds from 21 rebound chances in 20 minutes in the last game against Utah. So doesn't secure a whole lot of rebounds, but he gets real close to them. The chances are there. So if I'm betting on Daniel Gafford, it's going to be on the points prop. The line's at 10.5. Now, he only scored 9 points against Utah. Only 20 minutes played last time they played. The last game against Golden State, I was hesitant to bet on him because Derek Lively came back. Gafford only played 24 minutes in that game, but he saw a lot of ball, a lot of action, a lot of points. So the question is, can he take another 8 shots here? Because he took 8 shots against Utah in the last game. If he takes 8 shots against them today with no Walker Kessler, I'm telling you he's going over. Because all he does is dunks and layups. So Daniel Gafford points, I could be massaged into that. I don't think that's such a bad play. Here's another one that would probably drive you insane, but it's a Colin Sexton under 4.5 assists. It's 4.5 everywhere you look. It's a little bit juiced, but the hit rate on it is nice. He's hit the under in 8 out of his 10 games this season, averaging 3 assists per game. The 2 games he went over against the Chicago Bulls, who play with a ton of pace, and the Milwaukee Bucks, who do not play any defense at all. Outside of that, he's gone under this line in every single game. He played 28 minutes against Dallas earlier this season. He finished that game with only 2 assists. So what's interesting about Colin Sexton is in some of these games, the potential assists are high, but his actual assists, not very high at all. So if you're interested in betting on something with a good hit rate, then Colin Sexton under his assists is probably a good look. Now, you want to see something with even better hit rates? Check this shit out. We're looking at John Collins here, and we're looking at his turnover prop. Yes, you heard that right. It's his turnovers for John Collins. Check this out. He's gotten 2+ turnovers in every single game this season, and I don't understand it, right? He's averaging 2.6 turnovers per game. The hit rate on this is absolutely insane. 2 turnovers against Dallas last time in only 19 minutes. With no Walker Kessler, he's probably going to play about 30 minutes in this game. And check this out. In his games, the more minutes he plays, the more likely he is to turn it over. This 3-game stretch here against Milwaukee, 25 minutes with 4 turnovers. Against the Spurs, 29 minutes with 5 turnovers. Played 34 minutes against Phoenix and only turned the ball over twice, which is good for him. But now he's up against Dallas. John Collins to go over 2 turnovers. Does that get your attention? That'd be real interesting to watch the game, praying somebody turns the ball over, though. It's a bit of a strange one. I don't think I could get there. Here's a play for you that could make you sweat. We're looking at Najee Marshall. We're looking at his 3 points prop, and we're looking at under. The under, meaning for him not to make a 3-pointer, has cashed in 9 out of 11 games this season. You're getting plus money if you bet on Najee Marshall not to make a 3-pointer. The problem here is Najee Marshall starting to see more minutes being in the starting lineup. And he is attempting some 0 for 3, 0 for 2 in his last 2 games. And he's up against the Utah Jazz. They do allow a lot of 3-pointers. So it's going to be risky as hell. But Najee Marshall doesn't make a lot of 3-pointers. So the hit rate on this is insane. The odds for it are fantastic. I just don't know if he can get there. Now, last time he played Utah, 0 for 2 from deep, right? Didn't make a 3-pointer, but he only played 15 minutes. I think he plays anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes in this game. He probably takes 3 to 4 3-pointers, I would say. And if you like the risk, you can bet on Najee Marshall not to make a 3-pointer and absolutely sweat it off. I hate to do it to him, but Cody Williams, the rookie from the Utah Jazz, the over 1 turnover has hit in 8 out of the 10 games this season. He's averaging 0.9 turnovers a game. Had a turnover in 16 minutes against the Dallas Mavericks earlier this season. Should play between 15 and 20 minutes. The turnover hit rate is great, and the odds, check it out, -105. What we're seeing here is a 52-53% implied probability, whereas in reality, this is happening at an 80% rate on the season. So there could be some value there if you're just betting on mathematics. Cody Williams to get a turnover could be an interesting look. Actually, I just found a pivot for Klay Thompson, right? If you don't want to take his points prop because the line's probably moved by the time you're watching this, his first quarter points prop looks like a pretty interesting one. Check it out. So his line is at 3.5. You can get it for plus money. All right. Plus money is fantastic. We're looking at Klay Thompson make 2 buckets. Now, Klay Thompson, in the games where he's gone over, just happen to be the games where he's got a pretty nice matchup. So in all these games here, against Minnesota, Houston, Orlando, and Indiana, he went under his points line in all of those games because of how difficult the matchup was. Let me show you. See? But then all the games where he's had an easy matchup, he's gotten off to a good start, scoring between 4 and 5 points, which is really interesting. So we need him for 4 points, and it's a plus money look here for Klay Thompson. So I'll probably add this into some crazy same-game parlay, but I think that's a real interesting look. And if you wanted to dive a little bit deeper, if you looked at his head-to-head form against the Utah Jazz, check this out. 4 games against the Utah Jazz last season. Yes, he was on a different team, but my man killed him. He covered this first quarter points prop in every single game. He averaged 9.5 points per game in the first quarter against Utah Jazz last season. And then he did it again when he played them earlier this season, scoring 5 points. So Klay Thompson to go over his first quarter points prop seems like a bit of a banger if you ask me. Now, someone else who's feasted on first quarter points prop against Utah is this man. It's Daniel Gafford. Check this out. So on the season, he's only gone over this in 6 out of 11 games. His line's at 2.5. You're getting pretty decent odds here as well. But if we just look at his head-to-head numbers, he had 4 points in the first quarter against Utah earlier this season. He took 4 shots. He made 2 of them. And then if we go back to last season, we look at the head-to-head data. 3 games against the Utah Jazz last season. He covered this 2.5 points in every single one of them. He played 7 minutes in the first quarter in all of those games. And in all of them, got to the free throw line, made a couple, and he made a basket. So Daniel Gafford to go over his first quarter points prop, it seems like a real interesting look. But enough of the hit rates. Let's get into some key players and see if we can break something down. We got Luka Doncic here. His points line's at 29.5. He's hit this in 5 out of 11 games, averaging 28.5 points per game this season. First game against Utah Jazz this year, he only scored 15 points. He was 5 from 22, 1 from 9. Now, the matchup for Luka Doncic here is a little bit difficult if we just talk about the pick and roll stuff. Luka scoring 31% of his points in the pick and roll, but the Utah Jazz, 4th fewest points allowed in the pick and roll. So the matchup is somewhat difficult there when it comes to play type. But if we looked at this before, the opposition's defense is terrible, and Luka should be able to get the shots off that he wants to. But Utah presenting a somewhat challenging matchup for Luka Doncic. We've seen similar players with their play types. Dame Lillard, De'Aaron Fox, and Luka himself. 2 out of the 3 had gone under. Now, 29.5, it's a bit of a risk to me purely because Dallas could blow Utah out. But Dallas could also win this game and not need anything from Luka. Kyrie could get going. Klay Thompson could get going. Gafford could be dunking on their heads. And who knows? Najee Marshall could hit a 3-pointer and fuck everything. But Luka Doncic, his points prop, I'm not overly interested in getting close to that. His rebound prop at 8.5. He's only hit this in 5-11 games this season. Did have 9 rebounds against Utah, though, and 15 rebound chances. So not many rebound chances, but he got some easy boards. Utah, bottom 12 in terms of rebounds allowed. They do play with a lot of pace, so there's going to be some opportunities. Again, these Luka lines, for the most part, they always seem too high to me, but this guy's that good. He'll find a way to cover them. So I'm not overly interested in that. His 3-point line is at 3.5. He's only hit that in 5 of 11 games, only made 1 3-pointer against Utah. Utah allows the 5th most 3-point attempts on the league. So, yeah, under 3.5 makes for Luka is going to be a little bit sweaty, given he's going to take at least 10 3-pointers, right? So let's look at his assists. That line's at 8.5. He's only hit this 3 times this season, which is crazy. 3 times this season. He's gone under 8 out of 11 games, averaging 7.9 assists. And if you look at the games where he's gone over, very easy matchups. This Pacers team, ton of pace, a lot of assists. The Bulls team, very much the same. A lot of pace, a lot of assists. This Denver Nuggets team, not great defensively. They leak assists. I think they're bottom 5 in the league. Whereas all the other matchups, he hasn't quite got it done. So he had 8 assists last time against the Utah Jazz. And that was a game where he wasn't necessarily scoring the ball very well. If he finds his stroke and he's scoring quite nicely, more often than not, he's going to shoot that ball. And I think it's going to limit the amount of assists that he could get. So if you're a brave man, and under 8.5 for Luka assists, that's where I'd be leaning. But looking at these odds, sportsbooks are leaning that way as well. Heavily favored to the under for Luka's assists. So you'd probably want to pass on that. but the under in his rebounds and assists could be a nice pivot. But for Luka Doncic, there's nothing I want to bet on there. Let's talk about my man Kyrie. His line's 24.5. He had 23 points against Utah earlier this season. Similar type of matchup. They'll make it difficult for him in the pick and roll to some extent, but Kyrie can score whenever he wants to. He only took 14 shots against them last time. Still very efficient from the field, 57%. Kyrie, happy to let somebody else get those points. He ain't playing for stats anyway. He's playing for ankles. I don't love his point prop. I'm just going to call it out. I'd love to see him kill it, but I don't love the prop itself. I don't love his assist line. He had 9 assists against Utah in that last game. Can he do it again? Potentially, but not one that I'm willing to bet on. I do lean to the over because if they're not letting people score out of the pick and roll, chances are they're letting them create for others and get a lot of assists. So Kyrie assists at 5.5 could be something you entertain, but I haven't looked close enough into the play types and I haven't watched enough film to really make a call on that. But Kyrie, hope he plays well. I'm not willing to bet on it. Just scrolling through this Utah team, and there's nothing that really excites me too much there either. Like, I've shared a couple of good leans. I think out of all the leans that I've shared, probably Daniel Gafford, Klay Thompson first quarter points prop got my attention the most. The others seem quite risky, and it's only based on numbers. But those ones, they're numbers I like, and it's for people to score points in that first quarter. I honestly don't mind that. So I was also going to create a video for the NFL, Thursday Night Football coming up, but I've looked through the data and not many people watch my NFL videos anyway, so I decided to create this one. But if you're interested in checking out my NFL picks or my NBA picks, sign up to that free winnable. So tomorrow I'll be sharing every bet that I make all through the free section so you guys can tail along. So feel free to check that out. The link's in the video description below. But I appreciate you guys if you made it this far in the video. Leave me a comment. Let me know how my appearance is. How do I look without this goddamn beard? I know my wife doesn't like it, but what are your thoughts? Best of luck to you if you choose to ride with me. If you don't, all good. Best of luck to you anyway, but I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.